My hat! Alright, so now one of the things is to remove these side plates. Now I'm not going to remove the left plate, I'm just going to remove the right plate of the chassis. And the reason why is after I remove it, I'm going to take it and I'm going to try to straighten it out a bit. The camera kind of shows it a little, not too much, but there's a slight bend right about here. So this is one of these things that these plates are really strong this way, up and down. But side to side, they can bend. So that's one of the downsides to these aluminum ones, although they are very strong. I mean, this thing took a jolly bashing. That's probably how my buddy bent this, to be honest. It's probably getting too much air. But for this, since the front end is already off, this makes it much easier. Now for the rear part, I'm trying to be careful here not to damage this over here. We're going to remove this portion here. I don't have to remove the entire thing. I actually just need to remove this. But then we have 1, 2, 3 screws, and this is what we would use to separate the rear of the vehicle. We're not going to do the rear because once you separate the front, it's the same process to separate the rear. But then you just remove these little side screws here, and then this plate will come out. So we're going to go through that, and then I will show you how this works. So we have our 2mm driver, and I'm just going to set the screws right over here. This other side. Here we go. This is actually a short one, so now I can just move this up. That's the body mount. So this is all I did. I just rotated this here. And that's that screw. 2.5. We'll do these 3, the main 3, just like in the front. It's a 2.5 for those 3. Holds the same. It's not that difficult if you forget how this plate is oriented. Because of the little fin that it has, it points forward, and I will show you that once I get to it. That will go there, this will go here. And like I've said it again, if you're not going to do this in one day, or you tend to forget where things go, just grab a piece of cardboard, even a piece of paper. You can tape these on and then just label everything. Now this one here, be careful with this one because there is a tie. Actually, I don't think I have to remove this one because this one just holds wires. I don't want to stick my head in through there. Yes, this here, I can remove it. I'll remove it at the end, possibly. This screw here holds where 2 of the wires connect. So it would be the rear of this, the little servo that locks the diff. So let's go ahead and remove this instead. This is for the shock mount, which is one of the things that I really do like about this one compared to the, well, this is electric. Revo is nitro. But this seems to be a more robust system. Although I do like the Revo. Do like the Revo. Now there's also an e-Revo. That one's different, so don't confuse the Revo and the e-Revo. E-Revo is the electric Revo. I like the Revo. Which hopefully I can do an unboxing soon. Alright, some of these screws just hold these components, like the little wires where the wires go. So right now, I'm removing what will actually separate the plate. Now, unfortunately, one of these screws I may have to drill out because the head's been rusting. And I said unfortunately because I don't like doing it, but I will have to, it appears. So that's part of the maintenance here. This one will go here. They're the same size, no big deal. All right, and it's this one here. That's the one that one's gone. May try to work it with pliers. Oh, I don't. Hopefully I can get it out. And then I'll just replace it. Yes. Yeah, I am not using the screw again. So that's something, if you feel there's a weak screw or a weak head, just replace the screw. There's no point in reusing a screw that is on its way out. The only thing that you're going to do is you're going to drive it in, and then once you have to remove it, you're just going to strip the head at that point, and it's just going to be a pain. So just don't bother. We'll just place it over there. Alright, so at this point we just have 2 screws left, and I'm not really worried about them right now. This should just be able to press out this way, and this should slide off from here. I'm going to keep that on for now just to show you. There it is. So, if you see here, the only thing that's holding it is these wire connections. So now that it's separated from the rest of the vehicle, I'm going to go ahead and separate these two. So be careful not to pull on this and tug. You're going to strip some wires. And there is that screw. I'll leave that there. That one's fine. And let's do this one over here. And we're almost there. Alright, there we go. Those are small ones. So here is the plate, and just to show you that it is bent. I don't know why I have a paper towel, to be honest. I don't like paper towels. Well, not for this. They just tear a lot. But all you need is, if you just hold a ruler or a flat surface, you will see that this is bent out, but you can probably see that in the camera, so there's no need. But if I were to grab my ruler, actually, that's quite a lot. That is very, very bent. Let's see if you can see the gap. That's a huge gap. Let me just show you. Let's see, do I have something here? Well, let's take one of the wheel nuts. This is one of the larger ones. And I can fit one of those in. And just to give you an idea, this is 0.5 centimeter. That's how bent it is to one side. So that's something that you want to keep in mind with these plates. Right now, I'm actually straightening it as we speak. I'm just rolling it little by little, and you can just do this on a bench, so you can just place it and then just roll it, and then little by little you're going to be doing that, which is what I do. Or if you have a pipe or something round like your leg, you can just place it there and little by little start rolling it. But now that looks a lot better. So it doesn't take much to straighten things out. There's my ruler. And as you can see, it is much closer. If I grab my 2mm driver, okay, that one will fit through. So the amount is less now. Let's see. So it'd be here. That should work. But now I can go ahead and reinstall this. This is that little fin, so this is going to point forward. So this is forward, that is back. And when you grab the two plates again, this side is not as sharp as this side. I mean, if you run your fingers through, you can feel, right? You just rub it this way. So the sharp sides go toward the center of the vehicle. But here's the chassis plate, so I've straightened this. Make sure that's really straight. Right now, still has a slight bend, not too much, but it's not until I get all the way over here, and it's not significant. Right in there, you can see that small little gap. But this is good enough. So that was one of the things that needed to be fixed on this one here. So if you watched the very first episode, I talked about the steering. So servo's fine, but we also had to straighten this out. Now, I'm not going to, again, remove everything completely, but at this point, let me just go ahead and show you the components and tell you what you would need to do. So, in order to remove the servo, you need to have access to this component here. So all that you have to do for the servo is you have to, once you've removed these two screws, you will go to the other side and you will remove these two screws right here, right in there. Once you remove this screw and that screw, this brace, this center brace, will just slide out. And that's how you access the servo. So you will just remove one screw here in the back. This will come out, and then you can access the screws on the top, replace the servo, and then do the wiring. You have to open this up. So that's the way that works to access the servo. Now to access the motor, you will have to remove those same two screws for this here, but also remove the two screws for this motor mount right over here. Once this slides out, so let me just show you, 1, 2, you're going to be removing these two right over here. This will be sliding out. And then once this slides out, then you can remove the screws that are here in the front, and then that will remove this, and that's where the motor mount is. To be honest, you don't have to remove. I almost feel like just removing the motor right now. Maybe I could. So, I mean, you don't have to. If you have a driver with a ball in, that would be even easier. Let me just make sure I can fit it. Don't really want. Do I want to loosen this one? Yes. Right, so let me go ahead and show you and remove the motor. And then you do all your adjustments there, which, to be honest, I don't like the way this works. But I will show you. Now, if you remove those two screws, like I said, it's a lot easier because all of this will come out and then you'll get the transmission out as well. I don't want to mix these screws. Go ahead and place them over there. You know what? Why not? We're already here. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Well, for now. Next thing you know, I decide to. But the servo it's not complicated. It's just a lot of pieces that you have to remove. So that's one of the things. Now here for the motor, it's not complicated. Well, actually, kind of. Well, compared to other systems, I guess you could say it is. So this would be one of the downsides for the Nero. Right, that one is there. That's the lower one. And I really want to show you how the mesh works, how you work this out to do the mesh. And I'm almost there. That's the third one. I'll place it there. All right, so that is it. This is how you would remove the motor. So the motor, you just have that screw there, that screw there. And the way the mesh works is there's a diagram that tells you what screw or what hole to go in, depending on the pinion gear that you are running. So for this pinion, it happens to be that one in there. So those two outer ones. And then you would just remove those, and then you would just rotate the motor mount, and then you would just select the appropriate ones. So for that, you need to consult the manual, or, well, yeah, if you just look up the manual online if you don't have it. So Arrma should have the manual. But that's how you adjust the mesh, and it's going to depend on the pinion that you're using as well as the spur. So there's a combination. You have to pay attention to that. Now, if you want to adjust the slipper clutch, you will have to remove this, or remove this end. I would just slide this out probably. Like I said, it's just the two screws, front and rear, on the opposite side, and this will slide out. And then you have your slipper nut right in there. Unless you want to use a wrench, you could just place the motor off here to the side. You can hold this. I mean, if you want to, you can use a flathead screwdriver, just stick it between the teeth in here, and then use a wrench for this. Now the slipper, this is the part where you have to, slipper clutches you adjust based on field, based on the terrain that you are running. If you are running on a higher grip surface, there's more traction, you probably want to tighten it a little more. If it's loose dirt, you can get away with it being looser. And so the reason why, if it's too loose on the high traction, that's going to be slipping a lot, and then you're just going to burn it up. But I do like the plate system that it has here, that double plate system, with the 4 claws holding, 3 claws, I apologize, holding it. But that's the way that works. So you just remove that, this would come out, and then this plate would come out, and then this one would slide out. Remove the shafts, just like everything else. So at this point, I'm just pointing at what you need to do. There's no need for me to take this apart, but that is it. So then at this point, I'm just going to start reassembling everything, because there's no need to tear this down further. But again, if you want to access the transmission, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 on the other side, this will slide out. Just remove these two, and you're good to go. So let me reinstall everything, and then I'm going to go over the breakdown and a shock probably in the next video. But let's go ahead and put this back in. So we'll go ahead and place this in here. And I'm going to grab the bottom corner. And let's go ahead and place it in. Right, so that's the bottom corner. We'll do the top. And here we go. And let me go here. All right, good stuff. And now I'm just going to start tightening these up. I'm holding it this way in this awkward position for the camera. Always try to set it down so it's more stable. It's better, but right now for the camera. See, if I set it down and I start doing this, then my head's going to be in the way of the camera. But there we go. So I'm just getting these close, so I'm not tightening them fully. But this one here is, it's actually not a difficult vehicle to work with or work on. It's just time consuming because of everything that you have to remove. So it's, I guess you could say it's a complex design, but it's not difficult to work with. How do you measure difficulty? That's a good question. I'm not sure. Because there are some things that are very simple to do, they're just very time consuming, right? Because we can't really judge something being difficult by the amount of time it takes. It's like applying postage to parcels. It's the easy task, but if you have to do 1 million, it's going to take you quite a while. But here we go. So that is there. That's fine. All right, well, let's start reassembling this. So this plate, the important thing is for you to remember that it goes this way. The other thing too is it's easier for you to grab those two little short screws and install these electronics first. So these little harnesses, and it goes here. So there's those two little holes. One of them's for that little pilot, and that one goes here. And we will go here. Now, some of the maintenance here for this vehicle I'm going to continue off camera. That's why I'm just telling you what to do. All right, so here, that's the pilot. That's where the screw goes. It's a pilot hole. There we go. And there it is. So chassis is a little straighter now. It's a bigger deal for racing, probably. Now, that is something I do like about the Revo or the Traxxas Slayer. I do like their chassis setup. It's a light setup. Everything's accessible. Well, more accessible. I think. Maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, that's the impression I have. All right. So let's see. Go ahead and drive that in. No, I do need to leave this out. And place that here, place that there. So I'll place the two major ones, and I'm just going to go in here. Now, one thing, the transmission of this vehicle is fine, but one thing you do want to do is open it up. Now, if you're wondering why I did not open it up, is I don't need to, but not because I don't need to, is based on the differential, the grease that was used isn't regular black grease, so I don't have to worry about it gunking up as much. It was still, right, differentials were still good. So based on how the grease in the differential was, I can judge how the grease in the transmission is, and that's the reason why. All right, here we go. And run this one in. That's a 2mm. Now I'm back to 2. But if you get a vehicle like this for a good price, if it's, say it's a non-running vehicle, but it's a good price. What's a good price? I don't know, maybe 100. It may be worth getting, and I'm talking about a roller. And assuming everything is good, and you don't have to invest in bearings. See, that's where it depends if something is worth getting or not. Because if you have to start investing in bearings and plastics, there's no point. Just buy something that is new, unless you're set on this particular model, which is a possibility. I mean, these things are awesome. Now, if you get one that's fully running, they don't make them anymore, but depending on what you're getting, if it's fully stock, it's going to be more expensive, but again, it will be worth it if it's fully running. Maybe if some of the electronics were upgraded, you know, consider what the electronics are. So that's the reason why I cannot give you a price. But the reason why I said for a roller $100 would be a good price, because then once you add the electronics, everything in there, right, you'll be, it won't be too expensive. Why do you keep saying too? Ballet, like ballet. All right, I'm gonna look for that screw, the one that goes in here later, and then install that one, but that's all I need. So again, in order to remove the plate, you're gonna need to remove 1, 2, 3, 4, these 3, and then the 2 that hold the electronics, assuming the front end has already been removed, which it had been. if it has not, then you have a few other screws that you have to remove on this other side. It'll be 5 screws over here. So that being said, I'll continue this. I'm missing that screw and I'm missing this screw. So I will continue on the next one with the shocks. And thank you so much for watching.